because it's one of the least egregious, meaning the people of New York don't really care all that much about the open air fish markets. They just move away.
Yeah.
They stopped living in the area, more Chinese people moved in, and now the area is dominated by Chinese. But you could take a look at this and bring it to its most egregious.
Yeah, it has to be that they were all brought together by their love of open fish markets and not because they, share a language and it's easier to communicate and like there's a degree of trust and community there built into like that part of the town. It couldn't just be, that built up over, centuries. No. It has to be because they all love open air fish markets. Also, yeah, I'm very confused why he's like, just call it Chinatown. That's what it's called in New York City. You're just upset that Chinatown exists. And that's, I've been to New York City. Chinatown's great. Like, what are you talking about? Stop it. As if you can't walk into Chinatown and like not smell fish. This goon.
And that is like Chicago crime and shooting violence.
Sure.
So you have areas where there may be
like, not all of Chinatown is an open air fish market. He's just a fucking racist.
Middle class black family, and gangbangers will come into that territory, or just young black men who are violent for whatever reason they may be, and they will create crime. This will cause the higher income people to flee and then just dramatically impoverish the area and create more crime and violence throughout the area. So then the argument we would make is...
Yeah, the solution isn't to uplift working people and make sure people have living wages so they don't have to turn to crime. No. The solution is we must oppress minorities and segregate into two different societies. It's the only way. This guy's so fucking racist. More people need to be talking about how Tim Pool is just a bigot, There's nothing intellectual going on here. He's just straight up saying, like, you can't possibly live next to a group of Chinese people. It just doesn't work. That's obviously not true.
What rules do we want? Well, our principles would suggest that you are innocent until proven guilty, and you should not be searched or have objects seized without, something that warrants it.
Probable reason.
And probable cause. And so what happened in New York is they said, this neighborhood is where most of the shootings and violence happens, so this is where we're going to stop and frisk people. It also coincided with being a black neighborhood. The progressives then said, why are the majority of stop and frisks black? And the government, which these are Democrat-appointed police, said, that's just where the crime is. Then they said, no more.
Tim Pool is now making an argument against due process after talking and complaining the whole opening of the show that due process is dead and gone. Like, you are now actively saying that you like a lack of due process. Like, the entire premise of the entire premise of stop and frisk was skipping due process. By making assumptions based on race, they just were stopping and frisking random black people. Oddly enough, guess who wasn't generally being stopped and frisked? White people. And so we have instances where two groups of people who commit crimes at roughly the same rate, one group of people was allowed to just get away and continue doing crimes because they weren't being stopped and frisked. And the solution to that is not, hey, let's just get rid of all due process and just frisk everybody. The solution to that is, no, you shouldn't be giving the force that has a monopoly on violence in your society the right to just stop and frisk people. That needs to be taken away from them, and thus everyone gets kept safe and isn't being booked on false charges, as often happened with stop and frisk, because cops would plant evidence on people in order to meet quotas. It turned out that the knock-on effects of this kind of discrimination were terrible. There's a reason we stopped doing it, and it's because it was bad and wrong and led to innocent people in prison and led to, other people escaping and getting away with crimes. The solution here isn't to discriminate against everyone. The solution here is to have a more effective way of ascertaining reasonable suspicion. Like, if you are reasonably suspicious for good reason, yeah, by all means investigate that. But until then, you got your rights, and that's good.
Stop and frisk, you need to stop because you're doing it to black people. So
that was not the reason. The reason was stop and frisk was arbitrarily targeting black people more often. And that perpetuated stereotypes in a way that was inaccurate.
You have two distinct moral worldviews.
Sure.
You can't do this only to black people, but it's just the neighborhood where the crime happens.
Yeah.
Your principles are meaningless in this regard because both groups are going to assert power over the other to make their world happen.
Well, this is where democracy can be beautiful or bad, right? And so what the thing you're posing, right? Say you say, I don't want to have enclaves in a society. And my counter to that would basically say, I think with the size of nation states, it's almost unavoidable. Even just think about the way that geography shapes a culture, right? If you've got a nation that's mountainous and full of pine trees, and it's also in a nation with beaches and fishing, and it's also in a nation with, insert different geographies, right? The people in the culture that are going to emerge from these, even just geographies alone, are probably going to have some of the different values. They're going to have things where they want to prioritize fishing industry more, but it's possible that the lumber industry is like having issues and they want more advocacy. And so they'll always have these competing interests. And I think the beauty of a democracy that's functioning well is that it takes two things where actually there might be reasonable concern, right?
Let me ask you a question.
Can I finish my thought and then I'll let you ask the question?
This is a long
Hey,
point.
you went for 5 minutes. I'll get
used to
2
it,
minutes,
buddy.
okay?
You've been doing this to me for
I'll just
5
finish my
years.
thought.
If you can
I promise
succinctly
I'll
make
wrap
the
it.
point.
Okay. The beauty of a dialectic of a democracy is you can take two opposing values, and what the idea is to find a compromise within both where ideally you find the best pieces of
here's
each and
why
synthesize
I'm
them.
interrupting.
Yeah.
I feel like that is rudimentary, and we understand that completely. It's not the point that I'm making. So I'll give you a better example. Dearborn, Michigan has several instances of female genital mutilation among young girls.
Yeah.
That is explicitly illegal in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But in that community, it happens because there's no law enforcement that will stop it.
Right.
You are not going to get a white cop to go into
Well, also, the people do get arrested after the fact when and if that happens. Like, the cops don't just go, well, it already happened, so I guess we'll go home. Like, even presuming this is accurate, which I don't know that it is at all.
a Muslim community and say, stop doing this, because they'll say it's our community. In fact, they even have their own de facto versions of police.
And they likely won't report it either. That's probably part of the issue
So
too.
what is the solution then? Should the overarching government dispatch some white people who are non-Muslims to take over their government, to force them at gunpoint to stop?
Yeah, I mean,
America is their government? I'm really confused by this argument. It's so bad. It's so bad. I feel my brain dying.
this is the great Federalist question: is to what extent should
Now that's a violation of the principles of the locals who voted that in.
True, but it might be for superseding like cultural values that we value more. This is
We have what voted what in? What are you talking about? Tim, the incoherence is genuinely off the charts.
the constant tension that happens with the federalism, like, you know, amendment number 10. Go ahead, sorry.
So I'm going to say a few things. First of all
don't.
is...
I forgot he was
Thank
here.
you. You're not stating Rawls's full argument, where if you, for the argument that Rawls gave, you could also apply that to Aristotle, because Aristotle was saying, what is the abstract concept of good that we can use? And Aristotle said there's 3 different political systems which are useful under different contexts that have their own issues. Rawls is also operating under the principle of equality.
It's not a difficult hypothetical. Like it's actually a pretty easy hypothetical to understand. Like this is unrelated to Aristotle, man.
Which is demonstratively false. Equality has been continually disproven by the science, as well as there are genetic differences between populations. That's disproven among all of the academic community. And so when you're looking at the Rawls, he's
Who the fuck is Rawls? He's a political philosopher, like pretty influential. One of the larger voices that has kind of guided the philosophical underpinnings of liberalism in the modern era. He's a big deal, but like Rawls's argument in this particular circumstance is actually pretty straightforward.
Automatically jumping to socialism is good because equality is good, and this is all operating under the assumption that Enlightenment morality is correct.
Rawls is incredibly critical of socialism. He rejected egalitarianism.
So it depends on your definition of socialism, because the socialists play a game.
Communism.
I mean, yeah, it does depend on your definition of socialism. It's not a game. You just need to be using your words correctly. And the reason socialists and people on the left we're not playing a game here. It's just that most people in America never learned what socialism was or what communism was in any way that made any kind of coherent sense, right? Like, most people are taught, if anything, about it, like that it's just some kind of nebulously bad thing for some reason. It's what the bad guys were in every 80s movie, but they don't know what the actual political system is. People don't know what the actual, like, history is. They don't know the definitions. And, like, even different socialists will have different definitions for what it means to be a socialist. Like, so there is a messiness primarily stemming from the American education system deliberately obfuscating what socialism and communism are, but also from the fact that, you know, some people, when they get deep into the theory, they have a bunch more specific terms and want you to use more specific terminology. And, like, I think that's fine. I don't think that's a game. I think it's just people need to have a conversation first to define what their terms mean to them so that everyone is talking about the same thing.
Where there's multiple definitions of socialism used at any given time, so you can pick one or the other based on context.
Rawls was responding to the Marx idea
is a
of the
democratic
flattening
socialist, which is still a meaning of the word socialist.
Sure,
I want to move on to the next big story, but I do want to just conclude by
Tim Pool's just like, oh god, I don't care about this.
saying I completely agree with Kyla. I think we should exert force over Muslims who refuse to adhere to our traditional values.
That is not my position at all, but I would love to flesh it out with you. But sort of my position.
What do you mean?
It's like 50% of my position.
Well, I think that, again, we're going to go on to the next...
I want to clarify their argument before we move on.
The point is, when there are people who enter our society who have a religious practice that is an affront to our moral worldview, we will exert force against them to make them stop.
And to be clear, again, Kyla is not like a socialist. She's not, I wouldn't call her a leftist. She's like a pretty deeply lib-brained lib, you know? But, you know, within that there can be like some degree of like cooperation and like agreement, obviously.
Yes, to an extent.
The thing with, well, of course, to an extent.
Yeah, that's why I said 50%.
To an extent, but not to an extent. Like, we will use force up to...
Why is he doing this? They just showed him on camera doing it. It's
like, to an extent, not...
So uncomfortable.
No, but not to an extent. Like, we will use force up to whatever...
It's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. God, let's keep on going.
Or whatever amount of force necessary to get them to stop. So it's not to an extent. It's literally...
No. She's saying we'll tolerate some of their religious beliefs.
Like, I want religious freedom as well, right? And
right.
so this is like this is what I'm saying. There's this tension all the time between like individual rights of freedom of religion, but also state values of things like we don't mutilate children.
Sorry to interrupt, but we really do got to jump. I got to stress
Tim
one
is
more
correct,
thing.
but continue.
I got to stress one more thing. This argument still only works so long as you maintain the monopoly on violence. And if
like the state.
Yeah.
Your moral
clarifying.
worldview, not the state. If you, as a society with a moral worldview, have the monopoly on violence, you can stop.
I do not want the on the soundboard.
Say female genital mutilation. Sure. But if there is a new cultural worldview that has emerged, a new moral worldview, let's call it leftist, that tolerates and supports what Muslims are doing, they will take from you your monopoly on violence, and then you get to civil war.
So a lot.
What are you, dude? Did you know that sometimes political movements that disagree with each other exist in a society? Is like a wild take to me. Like, yeah, you're just describing how politics and like social negotiation works. Ugh, Godspeed, Dragonfly.
The leftists get into this weird tension with like Islam because they're very pro freedom.
I don't want to have an argument about leftists and Islam. My point was,
I mean, it's not a difficult argument to make. People deserve freedom of religion. Period. Point blank. Full stop. But that doesn't mean you get to like endanger or harm other people as part of your religion. And like that's just the protection of other people's rights and autonomy. You know? It's not difficult territory at all, really. Religious fundamentalists should not be supported.
if you have a monopoly on violence, you can assert your authority. If there are two distinct factions with equal use of force, you get civil war.
I agree with that. The issue is, I guess I'm just correcting the leftist idea that they just want FGM. They don't just want FGM. In fact, they acknowledge
that's the point.
This tension you're outlining exists regardless of the party side that you're pointing to.
My ultimate point, as we move on, again, sorry, is that your principles only apply to the people who agree with you. And that is universal to all moral groups. End of story.
Sure. Yeah, we live in a society. True.
We do live in a society.
Yes, like you might believe in the right to keep and bear arms, but you're not going to give an Islamic terrorist a gun and be like, you have a right to bear arms.
Sure, it's why I like...
Yeah, the same way you wouldn't give a Christian terrorist a gun either. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, you wouldn't give it, like, what does the religion have to do with it? If you're talking, you wouldn't give a terrorist a gun. Tim, are you implying you would give a Christian terrorist a gun? What are you talking about? This is stupid. This is so stupid. It's breaking me.
Like the liberal principles where we said, well, we should have a couple of basic rules that we all apply to because other things we shouldn't impose on
so
other,
when
like
you
free
have
speech.
two distinct moral worldviews operating in one country, and I would say more than that, you are not going to abide them the same rights as you would someone of your society.
Sure, because I would say free speech is better than compelled or controlled speech, yeah.
Like I would say, if someone is an advocate for the destruction of my country, I will not defend their right to speak.
I
will not defend their right to keep and bear arms either. If a man comes to this country screaming Allahu Akbar and starts throwing bricks at cops, I'm not going to say he has a right to keep and bear arms. I'm going to say...
I mean, yeah, felons don't have the right to bear arms. Like I'm sorry, if you're throwing bricks at a cop, like you're going to get arrested for that and charged. Like the issue there is not the religion, it's the demonstrating violent intent. Like it's the assault. That's the issue there, Tim.
Nobody
Absolutely
thinks that he
not.
has a right for assault, right? That's already barred out. But
The
he might have a
point
right
I'm
to talk
making
about
is,
it.
if someone expresses clear ideological sympathies for ISIS, we will not give them a gun.
Possibly with ISIS, I think that's the case in America, but I think that there's like good statutory reason if you're a terrorist sympathizer or whatever, but like in general, like...
Right, my point is...
But we don't want to say people who we just disagree with can't have rights.
Domestic terrorism doesn't exist in the United States because of the First Amendment. So that's why...
What? Oh my god. Domestic terrorism isn't real. Abolished under the First Amendment. Okay.
Trump, his declaration was actually just a statement he made and not anything actually formal.
Yeah.
He would have
Domestic terrorism is absolutely...
to do an international declaration. This means, and I'll say it again, if someone is Antifa and says this country should burn, I will not defend their right to keep and bear arms. These are people who have expressed a violent intent, and we have seen in the past them use a violent intent. So, and that's the...
Who is Antifa? What is the ideology of Antifa, Tim?
A more egregious example. Let's jump to...
Which is, obviously he's moving on here, but like, Antifa stands for anti-fascist. And anti-fascists are not against America. Anti-fascists are against fascists. It's in the name. Pretty definitively.
The next story, otherwise we'll keep talking.
Yeah.
This is from the Washington Post. The Pentagon seeks more than $200 billion in budget request for Iran war. Some White House officials do not think the Defense Department's request is a realistic shot of being approved in Congress, one senior administration official says. Additionally, we've got more updates as more Marines are being deployed to the Middle East. And of course, Donald Trump has said Israel was angry and bombed the South Pars gas field in Iran. crude oil is now up to $119 per barrel, and gas is expected to go up. I've seen reports, correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't read too much into this, that China is now cutting off fertilizer exports.
China.
And guys,
That was really good.
I know the Republicans are going to say, stick with the plan.
Oh no. I'm about to hand it to Tim Pool. That was a pretty good China.
But as of right now, I don't want to be pessimistic. Let's just say, holy crap, this is bad.
How about what plan?
I've heard Phil loves China, actually, so I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Phil's an avid communist communicator
He
about
loves
China.
China
China.
is an adversary. I will say that 200 billion for the request from the 200 billion, if I understand correctly, is to replace the stocks that they've already used. So it's not technically to continue funding the war. Not that it's not a slush fund anyways, essentially at the Pentagon, but it is to replace the stuff that they've already used because you don't want to have your stockpiles of weapons.
Agreed. But
to
the
be
point
used
is,
like
the point
$1
is,
trillion
guys,
in a week and a half.
Wait a minute. I thought we had stockpiles that would allow us to fight wars indefinitely. Wait a minute. Are you questioning the dear leader's veracity? My God.
we spend several hundred billion on Israel for the past 50, 60 years. We spend 250 billion on Ukraine in the past 4 years, and now they want another 200 billion. I understand we spend like what's the budget per year, like $7 trillion?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's some psychotic number like this. My point is, we are looking at. They're discussing removing sanctions on Iranian oil at sea because is it 7 trillion?
It's 8.38 billion. So this would up it to 1 trillion.
Trillion, you mean?
Billion.
But
Billion.
the budget,
838.7 billion. But
yeah, the supplemental
really?
Yeah.
The supplemental budget
even worse than I
request.
thought.
So this ups it to 1 trillion if they get it.
And
Sorry,
it aims to cover sustained military operations, replenish depleted munitions, and accelerate weapons production amid intense strikes over the past 3 weeks. Look.
I get it. I don't like the Ayatollah. I don't like his son. I don't like their government. I don't like them constantly being a thorn in the side of all the countries in the region that are trying to just sell oil. I am not a Greta Thunberg. Bring the oil on, baby.
They're just trying to sell oil, guys. It's not like wars have been fought over that or anything.
Drill, baby, drill. Let's have some capitalism. Greta Thunberg doesn't even care anymore. She's demanding oil get sent to Cuba.
That's
She didn't care about climate change.
She's just
My point is, the Iranian government sucks miserably. But as we already discussed, Eric Prince, he was quoted as saying, the problem with Iran, it's a roll of the dice. You don't know if you can succeed. This is not, I'll quote Charlie Kirk in June, I think it was June 17th. He said, this is a developed nation of 90 plus million people that you cannot just easily go in and topple. You cannot just ideologically change.
Whoa. Well, good thing Charlie Kirk said that. If we hadn't heard from Charlie Kirk on the number of people in Iran, we'd have no idea how many people were there. You know, we might waltz in thinking it is really easy to fight a country full of 90 million people. Good thing the wisdom of Charlie Kirk showed us the way.
Like some smaller countries. This is a serious war. Now, again, I think it's fair to point out, after Trump launched those strikes on the bunkers, a day after Charlie Kirk did say, I stand with my president and I want him to win. And I can respect that. I feel the same way. I want to win. I do think it's ill-advised, but I think we have to just be realistic. And I'm saying optimistic. But let's at least recognize a $200 billion budget request, oil at $120. This is not good news. This is not good news for anybody. I would implore the Republicans to pay.
Oh, I thought the price of oil going up was great. Just thought it was the best thing I'd ever heard.
Attention to this, because if you ignore it or poo-poo it, you're going to lose the midterms worse than you may already be.
I'm in a real like crossroads in my own soul about this, because we're all in. We put as Alex Jones said, we put our dick in the light socket. So here we are electrocuting, and we're all the way in, baby. There's no going back. I don't know. I mean, obviously we could leave, but then they'll attack us for 20 years. It's like, what do we do? Destroy? Do we level this country to the ground? Kill 100 million people? However many millions of people got to go? And
there's 90
set up a new
million,
government? Or do we yell to stop the war? Because I feel like I'm on board with this motion of American hegemony, free speech, property rights all over the planet. If we stop this thing, I think the whole system will crumble. So, but I don't want to kill a million Iranians. I do want the
This guy is genuinely insane. You know, I know it's fun to call him Moonlord and all that. It is worth remembering this guy is deeply anti-Semitic and also like just deeply insane.
Country to be called Persia, though, so it's less confusing about Iran.
Well, I mean, so it's been Iran for a long time. I know that it was Persia. It was Persia like
1903
back
or
in
something.
the Persian Empire and stuff. But it's actually been called Iran for a long time. The term Aryan comes from the word Iran because they were like with the Caucasus. I guess the region is similar, but I don't have so much of a problem with the request for the money because of the fact that it is to restock the depleted munitions, right? So you can have your
Like you all know none of this had to happen, right? Like this is all happening for no reason, and they're just sitting around being like, well, maybe we should give the military $200 billion more for, depleting their munitions, doing something incredibly stupid for no reason.
problems with the war. You can have your concerns. You can address all of the real, actual, tangible problems that this is causing, but to say that the returning to whatever baseline level our munitions are or should be, I think that's something that we should do, because the idea of allowing the United States to not have the overwhelming military power that we do have, allowing that to be degraded, is far more of a problem for the U.S. than to say, oh, we're not going to spend $200 billion.
How do you guys feel about Trump in general, like promising peace, promising no wars, promising to end wars, and dragging you guys into Iran? Like, does that bother you? Were you for Trump's promise of peace? Like, how do you describe this?
I view Trump on foreign.
I mean, I do think Forlorn 79. I do think that when we went into this, our interceptor ammunition was low. I know the military has been running low on certain munitions for quite some time. It's not necessarily for what was used right now in our conflict with
Our
Iran.
military threw all our money into the ocean. I think we should give $200 billion so they can do it again.
They tripped and fell, and it went down into the Mariana Trench. Can't get it back. We tried to get James Cameron. Said no.
Policy as generally better than every other president in my
Also, the
lifetime.
Finn Rainbow. Thank you for
And,
the $5 dono.
Despite him being so hawkish?
He's been hawkish on Iran the whole time.
Well, he's hawkish everywhere, right? He pretends deterrence is like dovish policy, right? Like he'll threaten to bomb people.
I respect the hawkishness. It's a question of, are you going to actually go in? I think
Anti-war Tim Pool respects war hawkishness. Okay.
my view of getting involved in Iran was skepticism, but hope. Venezuela was the same thing, and I think Venezuela played out very well. So,
well, for who?
For us,
Well, not for the Venezuelans.
Not for the Venezuelans.
Actually, no.
Venezuela seized our oil assets. We had a treaty with them. Okay, we shook hands with Venezuela and said we're going to build oil, and they said, "You got it, brother." And we were all sharing in money, and they were the wealthiest country in South America. Then they elected a democratic socialist who came in and stole our oil assets, and our country did nothing about that.
They elected a guy who stole our oil assets. You mean the oil assets that are inside the country that were benefiting American corporations instead of the country the oil physically resides in and had to be extracted and refined in? That's insane. That I'm sorry, this is just like an insane frame through which to view this.
So I, again, say the Venezuela operation skepticism, but then when Trump goes in, takes out Maduro, and just brings him to New York, which will be weird if he's found not guilty. I don't know how that'll play out. But then we get our oil assets back. I'm like, well, that's what I call justice. Now, as for Iran, this is a bigger question over the Strait of Hormuz.
Wait, I don't think they did. Didn't they steal their own didn't they nationalize Venezuelan companies?
These were American multi-billion dollar investments to build oil infrastructure.
Oh, so it wasn't even like American companies. They were just Venezuelan companies that were heavily invested in by American companies. Well, think of the shareholders. I mean, I guess it's just if we consider the poor shareholders and how they would have suffered if America hadn't intervened.
Venezuela.
But it's
and we had treaties with them to do it. And it was
Sure,
an
but
estimated
it's calling it
$10
American
billion in
assets.
assets stolen.
Sure, but
You
well,
do
this
not get to
hold on,
invite me
this
onto
is
your
private,
property.
This is private American dollars, right? Does the American government owe private companies military protection
Yes.
if a government that they went into trade with
Yep.
buys out the company that they went into?
Especially
I
when
don't
they're
know if
giving.
I love the idea that in Tim Pool's world, you as a businessman can just have like a branch of your business in another country, and America will come to overthrow the country so that your business can thrive. This is like arguing that America should like go and bomb and overthrow the government of Luxembourg because McDonald's is there and they're trying to regulate fast food quality. You know, like this, like at what point does the United States invade to do a coup? Is it $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $1 million, like $1 billion? Is that when that happens? Just have to have $1 billion franchise in another country somewhere, or enough franchisees to have $1 billion in another country? Okay.
Oil to
true.
our enemies.
If Walmart has,
I don't care if it's true or not. It's an opinion on
no,
morality.
think about the principle here. Like, let's take it out of Venezuela. If, say, Walmart has a close relationship with China, there's a Chinese private company that they're working with, and as a result of the Communist Party, China goes, we're actually taking all these assets, and they take like $10 billion worth of Walmart principles.
Well.
Should America go in there and take private company assets? We should spend
Yes.
taxpayer dollars
Yep.
to take.
Your taxpayer dollars should go to defend McDonald's bottom line. What an insane take. What, like, I genuinely, that's an insane take. From supposed, I mean, I guess it's in line with a libertarian point of view from Tim Pool, but it's still unhinged as fuck.
Private company assets
Yes.
back?
I also-
Why?
So first and foremost, the question about China would actually be a question of, can we be militarily successful?
Oh, he's right insofar as that has been America's position in the past. But he's arguing that that's the way it should be. He's arguing that like the state should back any kind of corporate endeavor in another country, which, you know, is interesting because I do want to emphasize that if this was ever a formalized relationship, no country on earth would ever in their right minds allow American businesses to like do any kind of trade within their borders, right? Like that's just a fucking insane thing, right? But he's saying that's the way it should be.
In doing so. In terms of what Venezuela stole, we had a treaty with them, which was at the governmental level, which we do have a treaty with China on trade. So if they're violating it, it's not just private assets that are being violated. Venezuela stole $10 billion plus in assets. We did nothing about it.
Yeah, America famously never stole any valuable assets from anybody. Don't open an American history textbook on any point of our history.
All we did this time was discombobulate, take their leader out, and take
Discombobulate.
back our oil industry from them, which we agreed to build with them. They broke the rules. They stabbed us in the back.
Question I got is
Sure,
when if the Chinese buy a bunch of farmland in the United States and then the Americans are like, actually, this is our land, and they seize it from these private Chinese companies that did everything legally, are we in the right? And I would say yes, because it's American
100%.
sovereignty. So
110%.
Oh God. Does that would that mean that China has grounds to invade the United States to protect their investment?
Venezuelans in the right taking their sovereign territory
Nope.
back? It's
Why?
different because it's Venezuela. That's the problem, is you justify, I mean, it's a justification of monkey tail. You got to do the strongest, hardest, brutalist winning tactic to survive.
There are, the first thing I would say is you are absolutely correct in that I will always be biased for my society and my way of life and what I think is right.
Yeah, I look, America can do anything it wants. Other countries, though, fuck off. I mean, as long as you're admitting you're inconsistent and, like, specifically biased in favor of America, I guess.
And I think that if I enter an agreement with another country to build oil assets and they share in those profits, and then they take them from me, that is a violation of our moral agreement. Then, if you start privately buying up under my nose through our legal system, farmland near our military bases for which you can surveil them, I'm going to tell you to knock it the F off.
Yeah, look,
I'm going to take that land back.
The like the product that they're actually talking about matters too, right? Like oil is definitely a geopolitical tool, right? Like it's literally civilization juice.
So it's farmland. So what the Chinese have justification?
We've already addressed it.
What?
Famously, civilization did not exist until oil. It's true. No one could possibly have a civilization without oil.
We've already addressed it.
Oil and food, they're both important.
The farmland they're buying is near our military bases for which they're surveilling our military.
Hey, I agree, but they're doing it legally.
Different.
Let's say that's not what they're doing. Well, let's say in the hypothetical.
It is what they're doing.
Hold on. In the hypothetical, it's more analogous to this situation where that's not, because I'm assuming you're not saying that America was actually making it military assets secretly, and I think it was actually private companies oil drilling. So say it's private Chinese companies, as private as they can be.
Yeah, she's the one who gave the hypothetical, and it's like they forgot that she was giving a hypothetical and instead made up, like, thought that it was about an actual thing that happened of like Chinese spies buying up farmland near US military bases. Either that or Tim Pool just added that for absolutely no reason out of the blue. Like, this is weird.
Own and buy farmland and are growing soybeans. In American land.
Venezuela is one of the least defensible regimes you can pick because the Venezuelan government alienated even their own people, where Maduro needed to use Cuban mercenaries in order to establish his power, where Maduro was a democratically elected politician who installed himself as dictator. He was profoundly unpopular, so he used Cuban mercenaries to install himself in power.
But nobody's defending Venezuela here. Nobody likes Venezuela. I didn't defend Venezuela.
I'm going to say it for the third time. If I have an agreement to produce oil in your country and we share in the profits, and you have a problem with that, negotiate the treaty, sever it, or otherwise.
Which they did negotiate and pay out $1 billion. Just so it's clear.
Don't steal it. If you are buying land in our country that is a threat to our national security, you are a threat to our national security as per our assessment.
So the issue,
there is a moral distinction between these two things.
But you're not making a moral argument. You're just saying America needs to perpetuate and protect its own power, and I support America and whatever America needs to do that. And I oppose any other countries acting in a similar way to America because it would inconvenience America. This is just pro-Americaism. Like, this isn't like an actual moral position. You're just like straight up becoming an agent of the state and are advocating for the state to perpetuate itself because you're a part of it. That's it. You aren't thinking for yourself. You aren't taking any kind of coherent moral position. This is just it's just nationalist bullshit, really.
I will still add on top of that. We are the United States, and we are always going to operate at our behest and not for the benefit of anybody else. So if that means we, in good faith, negotiate a contract with Venezuela to build oil and they steal it, we take it back.
That's not an accurate way of describing what happened.
If China buys land in our country and we deem it so, we will seize it from them. We do, because we are America working for our interests.
Sure, but then the principle that you're not mad about isn't that they're stealing from us. It's just that it's America. It's just, that's all the principle is. And what I'm saying is that's probably not good for
She nailed it.
policy. For example, in the Venezuela thing, as quickly as I'm looking, Chevron took $1 billion payout because they agreed to dip, and they stayed actually as minority partners with Venezuela for a long time. The issue is that the two other oil barons didn't want to take the deal, and then in that case it got seized. And then they went through courts to try to get their assets back, which they were not successful in. And now the taxpayer is paying so that Mobil can have their assets back.
Yes.
The American taxpayer.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure I'm for
what is the
spending
purpose?
taxpayer money.
What is the point of the public coffers if not to defend the public from foreign adversaries?
I would say in this case it would be.
Yes, of course. The lack of $1 billion from oil and gas companies has materially impacted you. I see, Tim Pool, truly impoverished, living in squalor.
Okay, what's in the good of the public? Making sure we have oil.
Let me ask you a simpler question.
Hold on.
A guy is on his dinghy.
Why are we not using the public coffers for the private enrichment of the wealthy people? why are we not using our public coffers and funneling that money directly into the pockets of corporations? I don't understand. I'm Tim Pool, and I'm very intelligent.
Fishing off the coast of Florida when pirates show up. Why should the private taxpayer have the Coast Guard go and save him from some other country's pirates?
These are
Because you're talking about the rescue of a private citizen, because that is something that a government does. In the other sense, you're using the American government as some kind of like fucking debt collector, and that's
Choose your own adventure.
oh god. It does feel like that. I feel like we're sinking into a mindscape right now, Sake Tanuki. It's a true bottomless void, and I don't know where the bottom is, and I'm getting a little scared, guys.
Well, that's literally the function
wait,
of the
are
military.
companies individuals?
What does that have to do with what I'm talking about?
Well, you're comparing a company to an individual on his boat.
What does that have to do with the
Well,
moral
an
point I made?
individual having their life and safety threatened by pirates is
No, they
not
wanna
the
steal
same
his
thing
boat.
as mobile.
They want to steal his boat. Should the Coast Guard stop
It's
him?
his individual property, right? In this
Should the
case,
Coast Guard stop? It's a company's property.
Just called an Exxon tanker.
Yeah, there's an Exxon tanker and a bunch of pirates raid it. Should the Coast Guard stop the pirates?
probably the pirates, yeah.
What's the difference?
The difference is that we're
They're
negotiating
Venezuelan
now.
pirates.
It's a nation state that we have to negotiate with, and we can't just go.
Why won't you let the US government defend those helpless companies that had suffered a financial loss decades ago? Like, I'm sorry, is the federal government responsible for every like failed investment that like you make as a private citizen? Oh, I lost 15 grand at the casino. Dang. I guess the federal government will have to get it back for me. Like that's not what the government does. Man, like the government isn't responsible to make sure your company is profitable. Good God.
To war with everyone.
So
who
we
fucks
let
with us.
Venezuela seize our tankers.
I think
That's silly.
when they happened, we had massive sanctions. I believe large NATO sanctions were put against Venezuela. Nobody,
Yeah.
as you've said,
Yeah, also in this example, the people on the boat are being directly threatened into giving up their property, as opposed to what happened in Venezuela, which was, as far as I know, not that.
Weak.
nobody likes Venezuela. I don't like Venezuela.
Let's
I
go-
don't
let's
like
go back to the
communism.
original question
In each
about-
argument,
let's-
you're arguing against America's interests, which should be the opposite of the American government. You're not using rational consistency. You're
These men lecturing her on intellectual consistency is genuinely mind breaking. Oh my god, you're not being intellectually consistent. Say a least intellectually consistent men alive.
arguing against the interests of American power in each individual context.
I'm not actually, because theoretically, if the
You see, American power is best served by making whole companies that lost $1 billion 50 years ago. Not 50 years ago, 30 years ago. It's just like, I'm sorry, I don't think every company that suffered a loss from a bad investment or a failed investment deserves recompense. The same way I don't think that like private merchants who shipped things around the world, back in like the 1600s, where they were taking massive financial gambles on sending these merchant ships to the other side of the planet for spices and whatnot. I don't think their families deserve to be like paid back if one of those ships got taken by pirates or sunk to the bottom of the ocean or like what have you. Any number of things happen. Like people take financial risks. And if that risk doesn't pay off, like that's what making an investment is. You are taking a financial risk. There isn't the guarantee that is going to pay off for you. And when you're investing in like foreign governments and foreign infrastructure and like foreign like material extraction, part of the risk of doing that business is that you are not going to see a return on your investment for any number of different reasons. Whether war or natural disaster or act of government. Like there are so many different things that can happen that harm your investment. The United States government is not on the hook to bail you out of all of those potential downfalls. Like, the one thing that these capitalist guys talk about being like the main reason you want people on the top to have so much money so that they can do investment and take the risks, right? And when it actually comes down to taking the risks, they're like, no. You don't understand. It's not you, the private businessman, don't take the risk. We take the risk, and we, meaning the taxpayers, will bail you out. Private guy, private businessman. Like, that's what they're doing.
The American government is for American success. The thing at question here isn't Mobil. Like, we don't owe Mobil anything as a company. We owe Americans
Does Mobil
gas.
pay taxes?
No, but
They do pay taxes, but we could negotiate a new trade deal with
they
somebody
pay
else to
taxes
increase our
partly for the
buy of
public
oil
defense?
from somebody else,
Do
right?
they pay taxes partly for the public
Instead of spending
defense?
money to go blow up Venezuela, we could have negotiated contracts with other oil suppliers
These
to get cheaper
companies
oil.
pay taxes, which
Why?
includes money for public defense, for which they are entitled.
Yeah, public defense is different than being essentially reimbursed by the American government. This is not the same thing, bud. Sorry. If a McDonald's franchisee in another country is getting sued, the American, the U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't step in to provide the legal defense for that. As a private business, you are on the hook for that yourself, you know? His argument is really stupid.
To some extent.
And I will add on top of this that Venezuela seized our oil assets to distribute oil to our adversaries.
Yeah, that did happen as well, which is why we
so
engaged
we
in sanctions.
stopped it.
But the idea is that
The boot comes down.
This is the issue in foreign policy. When people fuck you over, you don't just immediately go to might.
We didn't.
Why?
It was 20 years ago.
Why?
Why
It
not?
was 2009.
War is
It was 20 years ago. So if something happened in another country in a McDonald's franchise 20 years ago, report that to the U.S. government, because we will invade the country that happened in. We'll overturn the government, and we'll get you the $10,000 back that you lost in that lawsuit that one time.
expensive,
So
bad for economy, and
but
kills
hold on,
lots of
hold on,
people.
hold on.
That's why.
This was 17 years ago. And they tried the legal method and none of it worked. And
Sure.
Trump said, okay, get our oil back.
Sure.
17 years later is not a short amount of time.
Yeah, and one of the issues is we didn't really get our oil back. Most of the tankers that we seized from them, we've sold off to Saudi Arabia, which only apparently the Trump admin can actually have access to the $500 million. So the American taxpayers didn't even make back the money that we spent to bail out Mobil.
We also cut off Cuba, but I want to go back to the original question so we can round this one out and jump to the next stories that we have. And it was a question about how do we feel about Donald Trump. And I will say I'm a big fan of the Abraham Accords. When Donald Trump crossed the DMZ with Kim Jong-un, I was welling up. I was nearly in tears. I mean, that was an incredible moment for the Koreas. And Donald Trump crossed into the DMZ without security. They could have killed him. They could have captured him. They could have done a lot of things. And you can say it was free. You can say it was, but it was a tremendous step towards peace. And I'd like to see more of that. So I tremendously respect it. Donald Trump's at the timeline for getting out of Afghanistan. None of this, of course, is perfect. But Donald Trump has been infinitely better on foreign policy than any president of my lifetime.
The Afghanistan pullout was horrific.
That was Joe Biden.
It was not. You just said that the pull-up policy was decided.
The timeline was set by
No, it
Trump.
was Biden.
It was not just
Executed
Biden.
by Biden.
The problem is that when things happen over multiple presidencies, it's typically both
No,
administrations.
it was Joe Biden.
It was not just Joe
Trump
Biden.
had established a timeline to pull out, and Joe Biden went ahead and
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? What is going on here?
said, "We're not going to do that. I'm going to just do it now."
He changed the
changed
timeline to
it.
9/11 to make a
He
scene, and then
advanced
he
it,
surrendered
and then
the
they
military.
abandoned Bagram Air Force
Not only
Base.
abandoned, they surrendered military equipment,
Look,
billions of
just so it's
dollars
clear,
of
I'm
night
not
vision.
a fan of the way that we pulled out of Afghanistan at all. What I'm actually pointing to is a partisan blame of just one president. When, for example, when we look at economies,
Trump
we always
wasn't
just
there
want
when
to
they pulled out
blame
of Afghanistan. What do you mean?
Trump.
Oh God, it's the pedantic hour. Hey, Gramuglia. Welcome to the party, pal. We're just venturing into insanity right now. Also, folks, go check out Egro Muglia's YouTube channel. It's good stuff. I've been watching it.
Began the pullout of it.
Which we
Keep putting up those episodes that are 45 minutes plus, by the way. They're excellent for me to listen to while I'm working out. I appreciate it.
all
abandoned
want,
the
right?
Kurds.
You agree with?
Not the way we did
No,
it.
no. Not the way Biden did. Let's go back in time. Do you support, at the time when Trump said we're going to get out of Afghanistan, Is that a good thing?
I'm not sure.
You think we should have stayed in Afghanistan?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't. I think that's morally abhorrent and psychotic.
Why? But you want to take Venezuelan goods and
trying to
throw
turn
over
Afghanistan
sovereignty?
into South Korea.
Wait, how is it possible?
Man, they're spending so long on this when we already got to the heart of the issue, which is that Tim Pool doesn't actually care about any of the moral implications of his positions. He's just, America gets to do what it wants. Like, that's it. That is the moral position he has. Like, he doesn't really understand what he's saying. He's just kind of here and trying to participate.
That overthrowing a nation-state sovereignty is cool and base, but trying to establish democracy within a country, which I agree wasn't done very well in Afghanistan, is somehow morally abhorrent.
That first one seems to be something you've made up.
Venezuela, you're for Venezuela, which is an invasion of a nation-state and killing it.
taking back our assets that were taken from us.
And taking their elected official.
I don't
care that we don't like him. You're for it. How is this not morally questionable? But in the case of Afghanistan, there's no question here?
As simply and monosyllabically as possible.
Sure.
Afghanistan is 20 years of nation building. Venezuela was several days.
Okay. Why did the nation building fail?
Because you cannot make Afghanis gay communists.
No. The reason that it failed is in large part because it was too expensive. Because we nation built in Japan.
Because it takes 60
exceptionally
years.
well. We nation built in Greece.
Yeah,
we nation built in South Korea.
That implies that all societies are the same.
I don't think they're the same.
Like, these guys are just racists, so they're going to assume that the reason it didn't stick, like the system we set up didn't stick, is because, like, oh, they're different from us. They're from the Middle East. They're Muslims. Of course it didn't stick. Like, they're just bigots. That's going to be their argument, right? Like, well, not all societies are equally yoked. And like, yeah, but that's like part what you were saying here is just that you think that like some societies are incapable of being like democracies, which is just an insane thing to think, like just an insanely racist or Islamophobic thing to think. It's so painful. My brain hurts.
And the Afghanis couldn't do jumping jacks. You need at least 3 generations, which we did get in the Koreas and in Japan.
You need to establish education. You need to let girls go to school, and you need to establish a middle class, which does take a long time.
And they were in active conflict the whole time in Afghanistan. It wasn't working, and they should have gotten out.
Well, more importantly, we never worked with local experts of Afghanistan. We didn't work with the people on the ground. We worked with the Kurds. No, we didn't.
We worked with the Hazaras. We worked with the northern tribes. We built up an entire northern coalition. And to pull back, you support the continuation of the occupation of Afghanistan.
I did not. Hold on. No. No. I did not say I supported it. I said I don't know.
So that's an argument that allows a lot of plausible deniability.
No, it says I don't know my answer to that. Well, you can, but you can't put words in my mouth of what I haven't said.
Afghanistan, Venezuela. I was going to say Burma, but I meant Iran.
I did not say.
So
you're being a troll.
In each place, you are positionally against American foreign policy. You're not operating under a unified moral code.
Nope, my unified moral code.
She hates America.
You're not operating under a unified moral code, says man defending what the worldview Tim Pool just put out into the world. I can't. Holy moly. Oh shit, is that alt-hist guy? Yeah, that's Whatifalthist, who's been lurking there heavy breathing into the mic the entire time.
I
am the intellectual equivalent of an assault rifle. The spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
That guy, yeah.
Against the American foreign policy, and you're picking whatever the opposition of it
Respectfully, you couldn't engage in a hypothetical, so I'm not sure how
I read an alternate history show for 7 years. Of course I can.
Yeah, but you didn't engage with her hypothetical. You tried to dance around it because it was inconvenient for you.
Well, you didn't, so that's a little tough.
Did.
You didn't.
Ran one for 7 years.
Rawls isn't true because, genes.
Guys, enough with Rawls.
Rawls couldn't engage in...
That is essentially his argument. His argument was, the the kind of society that you would want to make if you didn't know what kind of what person you would be born as? Huh. Haven't you considered that people have sex and bloodlines take on different genetic characteristics? Like, God, it was a bad argument. You should feel bad for making it. And it was racist.
Hypothetical because he couldn't project his views onto reality.
Rolls like this. Here, I'll tell you my consistent thread. My consistent thread is I would like to see worldwide liberal democracies emerge. That's what I would like to see. Because I think liberal democracies tend not to go to war with each other. They lift people out of poverty best. They establish a good middle class. They establish education, and they decrease poverty, death, etc.
I do support the establishment of democracies. I think democracy is the best form of government we got for now. And until we have a better one, like I do support the proliferation of democracy. I like that in a democracy, everyone has agency over how society functions. Like I like that there is democratic control to an extent of like the monopoly on force. I think that it's good actually for not just one guy or one small group of people to have control over that monopoly of force. Oh, Agramuglia, he's terrible. I don't know if you've watched any Whatifalthist. He's genuinely one of the most insane people I've ever covered on my show.
It's your religion.
Listen,
And you want to
It's not my religion.
Guys,
one at a
Phil, one at a
time.
time.
Sorry, go ahead.
The idea that every society can be a liberal democracy is totally outside of the realm of possibility.
Some people are physically incapable. They don't have their the democracy part of their brains is just genetically denied to them. When some groups of people, when they're having sex, do not pass on the democracy gene and thus are physically incapable of being democratic. This should be pretty obvious from looking at societies around the world. I mean, come on. God, this guy, if he was like, I don't know, 40 years older, this guy would be talking about phrenology unironically.
Like genes? Like some people are genetically incapable of having a liberal democracy.
Just because of customs.
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh God, it's the same. It's the same. Like all of those racists who say that like black people commit like the majority of crimes or whatever. All of them are like, well, no, it's not because of any of it's not because of any kind of race. I'm not racist. I mean, it's just culturally they're more inclined to it. Like he's doing the exact same thing, exact same bullshit, exact same playbook that every gutter racist uses on the internet.
A question in this regard, like Liberia, for instance.
I don't know enough about Liberia specifically.
We repatriated former slaves and then established an American constitutional liberal democracy, and it devolved into cannibalism and tribal warfare.
Because why?
I don't know.
Well, the issue is for you to say
Citation needed.
knows. You know
nobody
about Liberia,
can.
right?
Nobody can.
Not saying nobody can.
Sorry, certain cultures
sometimes
can't.
you can.
My name's Tim Poole. I know all about Liberia. I'm just not going to go into it in any detail.
Cultures can't. My argument would be not all the liberal democracies have to look the same. When I say liberal democracy, I don't mean superheroes that are gay. What I mean is free speech.
Okay, counterpoint. America does need more gay superheroes. Look, yeah, I'm just calling it like I sees it. All right. I want gay man. Yeah, where's just gay man, the quintessential homosexual superhero? You know, where can we find? Like, it just seems like if liberal democracy meant gay superheroes, we'd see a lot more, Deadpool and Wolverine hand holding. Okay,
due process, strong institutions and balance of
your
power.
argument about free speech, like
joke's on you, Jack. All superheroes are pretty gay. That's true. That was America's ass.
there's a lot of societies that totally reject free speech out of hand.
Yeah, and they're wrong.
Well, I mean, so
they should be
wrong.
brought to
But
heel.
the point that I'm making is those societies choose to be that way. They
Sure.
choose to not be liberal democracy.
Well, they shouldn't have the choice.
And we can't make other societies have our values.
No, I think we can.
I mean, Okay, so the argument that he's putting forward here is like, those societies choose to be authoritarian, and I just want to really point out here, no society chooses to be authoritarian. Like, just full stop. Like, if a society is authoritarian, it's because a military leader took it over. Like, no one, you don't get to like elect an authoritarian who is then like in power forever, and then they don't have another election. It's just whoever the previous leader appointed, or whoever came out of their wife's womb, or whatever. Like, they aren't getting to choose this because the power structure you are putting forward here is not conducive for that kind of choice. Unless you are defining choosing it so widely as not having a violent revolution to overthrow that form of government. It's genuinely... I'm losing it, bro.
Convince them to have.
I want to get to
I
this
don't.
next story, which is actually relevant to the conversation. I want to say one last thing on this, in that I think there's a realignment that's going to happen. The progressives that lost in Illinois lost largely to AIPAC-backed candidates.
Oh, but Agramuglia, it's stupider than that. They're not criticizing authoritarian leaders. They're saying that we should be authoritarian. That authoritarianism is the natural state of most of humanity, if not all of humanity. Tim Pool opened this by asking whether or not America should be a military dictatorship,
which many people consider to be a shift. Plus, we're seeing the media purchases by pro-Israel, pro-Zionist individuals. I tweeted this earlier. I think that we're going to see a political realignment where one party becomes interventionist and one party becomes anti-interventionist. I'm not entirely sure of the...
I mean, typically in any kind of intervention, it does boil down to those two choices. Good, nailed it, Tim.
Democrats will be the anti or pro-interventionist, considering they're very critical of Trump right now, but it is shifting. And with
Democrats will be the anti or pro-interventionist. God, it's incredible. It's genuinely incredible how this guy has mastered the art of saying nothing at all as verbosely as possible.
AIPAC backing these candidates, Democrats may actually end up in the we should go into these countries, and then with Tucker, Candace, and Meghan being loud right-wing voices, the Republican may become staunchly anti-intervention, which shifts the dynamic from
Oh, you mean the dynamic that Republicans claimed to have, like, literally like a handful of months ago, when they were praising Donald Trump as like the pro-peace candidate, the anti-war candidate, the anti-intervention candidate, and that all just went out the window the second he decided to be interventionist. Like, y'all don't have consistent ideas or ideology when it comes to this. Like, this is stupid as hell, and Tim knows he's not saying anything of merit or substance.
woke versus anti-woke into war and pro-war, which is exactly what we were seeing with Obama versus McCain after the Bush era, where Obama played the I'm against the war, and McCain was like, well, sometimes you need it. So again, I think the point you're making about why we I'm not saying we should have, may have needed to stay in Afghanistan is a point made by many neoliberals, more moderate Democrats, about nation building. But let's jump to this story real
This is really
quick.
important. That sometimes you need to do evil to create order in life, and sometimes you need to create chaos.
Fuck. This guy always throws a brain grenade into any conversation that's happening. Just blows up the entire scene.
To produce good, because totalitarian systems that have too much. So this is an instance of going into Venezuela, of doing something predominantly evil to create order in the realm.
Okay, we're gonna
and you just have to always have that debate.
We're going to jump to the story. We got this from the New York Post. U.S. territory turned tropical maternity ward has produced thousands of American babies for parents living in China. Amazing. The common...
I think this has to be where I stop. We'll pick up tomorrow with like this particular conversation here about the maternity ward issue. Birthright citizenship is what he wants to attack next, pretty obviously. And so he's just trying to cosplay Leto the Second. Yeah, so as you can see, this is an absolute train wreck of a conversation, and I do want y'all to know that this is gonna probably get worse. Like, this is going to get stupid as hell in even more diverse ways, I'm sure. All right. But I need to go to bed because I'm going to be on the transatlantic call-in show tomorrow. But folks, what a fun time. I hope it lived up to all of your expectations for it being stupid, breathtaking in its ups and downs, totally and completely racist beyond all reason, bigoted beyond belief. I hope you have joined me on this journey of examination into the depths of the conservative soul, and found the fact that it's just incoherent gibberish by and large, fueled by bigotry. And delicious insanity. Indeed. Folks, if you got anything out of tonight's show, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. We will continue this maybe tomorrow or the day after that. Unsure. I'm going to be on the transatlantic call-in show later today, 2 p.m. Central Time. Do tune in. We got the link here if you want to go to the tab. We're gonna have call-ins, debate trans issues, talk about trans topics. Please do consider showing up. And all that being said, folks, organize, and consider supporting the show. Like, comment, subscribe. Consider dropping those subs and donos because you guys make the show possible. And that being said, I'm gonna hit the old sleepy trail.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, daily, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.